Okay, everyone, how's it going? So this week I was asked to help you guys out with some college stuff, which is fine. I do want to clarify really quick. Not 100% my job. Uh, so I know a good amount about it, and I'm going to give you as much advice as I can. But I'm going to also encourage you to reach out to your guidance counselors, reach out to the Gear Up coordinator, because this is actually what they're supposed to be doing. Again, I'm going to help you. I'm going to give you all the answers that I can. I'm going to try and answer all the questions that you guys asked me today. But there are other people as well who should be dedicated to this. Like this is supposed to be what they do. So and just they might have more time resources to assist you with this on an individual basis than what I'm going to have because I've got 5 classes that I'm trying to teach, and they don't. So, if you need individual assistance with things, that would be my go-to. So, you guys had a bunch of questions about college, a bunch of questions about navigating things, trying to find things. Cool. I'm here to answer them. I'm going to go through and give you guys some resources, give you guys some answers, things like that. This is the list that Antonio curated for me. I don't know why we're calling it demands. That seems a little bit presumptuous, if I'm just being honest. A little demands, guys. Questions, maybe inquiries, um, request, dem- demands. Demand. Okay. Okay. Oh, okay. So, what is FAFSA? That's a good question to start. So, actually, if you go over here to our Schoology folder for week 4, you'll see a thing that says FAFSA. If you click on it, it will actually, and then if you click here, it'll actually take you to FAFSA. FAFSA is the government program that gives you loans that are guaranteed. So rather than having to go to a bank and hope and pray that you impress somebody enough that they're actually going to let you have enough money to go to school, the government guarantees a certain amount of loans per year. All right, and it's important to know what those loan amounts are. FAFSA loan amounts per year. So actually, if you Google FAFSA loan amounts per year, you'll actually get a list right here. So, for instance, first year undergraduate, that's going to be you guys. You guys are going to be in your first year, you're going to be undergraduate students. So, almost all of you are going to be dependent students. So, you can get a subsidized loan of $3,500. You can get an unsubsidized loan of $2,000 for a total loan limit of $5,500 per year. All right, that is per year, and you'll notice that it goes up. Right, by the time that you're a senior, you can get almost 8 per year, right? And then if you go to grad school, man, they'll give you a loan for just about a lot of money. All right, but this is an important number to know. Basically, if you are an American citizen and you fill out the FAFSA, you're guaranteed that you will be able to get a loan for like this amount. All right. This amount will pay the tuition at basically any state university. It's not going to pay room and board. It might not pay books, but it'll pay your tuition and most of your fees probably. All right, and you can get this every year. All right, as long as you're going for more than half time, which for you guys is 6 hours, I think. So as long as you're going more than 6 hours, you're good. All right. FAFSA, when you take it, let me see if I can log into my old account here. I don't know if I can log in. If I can log in, I'll log into mine. Let's see here. No, 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 no. Let's do my old one. Will this work? Hey, hey. So, um, here we go. So I don't actually have to. Hold on. All right, so I don't actually need to fill one out this year. I'm never going to go to college again. Um, skip this. All right, so basically what it's going to do is it's just going to ask you a bunch of basic information, right? Your name, all right, when you were born, email addresses, things like that. Some permanent addresses. It's gonna, man, mine's old. Look at this. It's got my stuff from Georgia. I don't live there anymore. And basically, you're just gonna go and just fill out as much of this information as possible. You guys are going to be dependents, so it's also going to need your parents' information. All right, you're not going to be able to fill it out just on your own because you are going to need your parents' information as well. So just be prepared for that. Know that you'll need like their tax information. Um, so yeah, so just know I'm trying to see if I can see one of my old FAFSAs so that way I can show you what an old FAFSA looks like here. Um, because I've got a bunch of old ones saved somewhere, but it won't let me see them. So, anyways, the FAFSA is really simple though. It's not hard. It doesn't take long to fill out. Usually about an hour and a half. And it's also FAFSA also gives you Pell Grants. Pell Grants are first come, first serve, which is why you need to fill the FAFSA out as early as possible. I think the earliest that you guys can fill it out is October. So Pell Grants are basically federal grants that are given to people based on their family income. And so at the end of the FAFSA, you're going to get this number. It's called your EFC, your expected family contribution, the amount the government says your family should be able to help you pay for college based on their tax information. And then they base things like your Pell Grant based on what your EFC is. Right? So if you have an EFC of 0, for instance, then you'll probably get a Pell Grant of a couple $1,000s. And all of this is just a way for you to get financial aid. Just because you fill out the FAFSA does not mean that you have to take the loans. You can always decline them. You can choose to only take a certain amount instead of the whole amount. There's a lot of things here, but almost every school is going to require that you fill out a FAFSA. I can't think of a single college that doesn't make you fill out a FAFSA. So, again, I don't think the window's open for you guys to fill it out yet, but once it does, go get on it. All right. If you need more questions filling out the FAFSA, we actually have a FAFSA night at Antioch High School usually. I don't know if we're doing it this year because of COVID, but hopefully we'll be over COVID and we can have a FAFSA night. We used to have several of them, but again, the earlier that you get it done, the better. So let's see. Next question. Where do we apply for scholarships and how? So there's a couple of different ways that you can do this. All right. One of the interesting ways of doing it, which I discovered this one last year, is called Unigo. Unigo is it's like a college matching resource here. And basically, you log in, you create an account, you set up a profile, you tell them what kind of major you're thinking about, so on and so forth. The kind of person you are, and then it will link you with a bunch of scholarships and with a bunch of colleges. The way that these guys make money, though, is by selling you to colleges. All right, and also they do not have a full comprehensive list of every college in the state. I don't think, but they have their own university ranking system, which is very interesting because it comes up with way different rankings than any other place that I've ever seen. I have no idea how they come up with their ranking system. The fact that they've got Vanderbilt as fifth and MTSU above it is it's a bit of a head scratcher. I don't know. I don't understand how their ranking system works at all. Except I guess maybe it's just the total number of students based on just how many students go there. Seems like a terrible way to rank a college to me, but it is what it is. And then down here they've got a bunch of schools. So like if I want to check out my school, Trevecca, they've got a whole page about Trevecca that you can click on. Where they've asked survey questions. All this data is kind of suspect, but you can definitely look at it. It's definitely worth looking at. But they will also link you with a bunch of scholarships that you might fit as well. All right, so that is one way. And I've got a link for that on here too. It's called College Ranks and Scholarships at Unigo. Another way is to look at, where to go? Scholarship Finder. This one. All right, Career One Stop has got a ton of scholarships, and you can search through them, and you just find one that you want, and you click on it, and you read about it, and you see if you fit, and then because they'll have these qualifications and these requirements, and then you click here and it will take you to the application, and then you just fill it out. All right. Every scholarship is different with what their requirements are and what they want and what they are looking for. But oh, and then I gave you this one too to the College Board. The College Board are the people that run the AP program. And here it's kind of similar to like Unigo. You kind of fill out some information about yourself, and then they will give you a bunch of results. Um, a lot of a lot of which scholarships you want to go for are also primarily based on kind of what your application's looking like. You know, if you've got a really high ACT score, like if you got an ACT score of 34, you don't really need a scholarship. You're going to get what's called an academic merit scholarship, which you're going to get money from the university because you have a good ACT score. Like if we look at MTSU, fine. Let's see here. Financial aid and scholarships, Middle Tennessee. They should have their academic scholarships here somewhere. Let's see. If you're a public school teacher kid, you can get a fee discount from MTSU. So if you're a teacher's kid, that's nice. Those aren't their actual scholarships, though. Hold on, I'm trying to find because they should have a list of their scholarships and scholarships. Here we go. All right, scholarships. So first time incoming freshman. All right, guaranteed scholarships. So Lightning Scholarship. If you have a 30 to a 36 on the ACT, they're going to give you $3,000 a year. If you got a 25 to a 29, they're going to give you $2,000 a year. And if you're a 23 to a 24, which is really just above average, they're going to give you an extra $1,000 a year. And then on top of that, they've got these other ones that you can apply for, and I can tell you that they're relatively easy to get, which will give you like if you've got a 30 and a 3.5 GPA, they're going to give you another $5,000 a year. So pay attention here because that's 3,000 and then 5,000. So now you're at $8,000 a year, and then they've got National Merit, National Achievement for Hispanic students, and then there's a bunch of other stuff. Then they got some fellowships down here. Then there are some Dream scholarships for DACA students and Dreamers. Um, and then they've got departmental scholarships based on like if you're in ROTC or if you want to go to medical school or if you're a music student. Anyways, there are lots of just school-based scholarships is my point. You don't always have to go to some third party over here to get a scholarship to go to school for very cheap or close to free. Um, One of my students from a few years ago uh, was a valedictorian, had a really good ACT score. He could have gone to a lot of different schools. He got accepted to Northwestern, a bunch of other places, and he ended up going to MTSU because they paid him to go to school there. He made something like $6,000 a year going to school there instead of someplace else because they wanted him that bad. I have a lot of students. I mean, like half of the not last year's seniors because I don't know because the end of their year was crazy, but the year before that, over half of those kids are on full rides. Or heavily discounted. Last year we had a lot of full rides. Like Diamond's on a full ride, Ethan's on close to one, Muhammad's on a full ride. Like there were several people out of that cohort that were on full rides as well, just based off of like academics. They didn't have to go apply for things other places. Their academics were like good enough. So yeah, all right. I think that covers scholarships. Let me see what's next here. Uh, how to write a resume and personally statements. Oh, okay. I'm going to answer that one and this one together. So what should we be doing now? You should all be going and filling out your Common App. Where are we at here? Link Common App. Common App. Common App, Common App. Common App is awesome because what it does is it gives you one application to fill out that you can then submit to a bunch of different schools. Now, I'm going to give you two pieces of advice to help you here. One, if you've not filled out the income statement for free or reduced lunch yet for school this year, you need to fill it out because if you qualify for free or reduced lunch, you will also qualify for a Common App waiver, which means you will not have to pay for any college applications that you submit through Common App. What that also means is that you can fill out one application through Common App and then submit it to 300 schools, and it's not going to cost you anything, and it's not going to be a lot of work because you only had to really fill out one application. You're just choosing where to send it. A lot of schools use Common App. A lot of schools use Common App. Yeah, just a lot of schools use Common App. All right. 903 colleges use Common App. All right, that's a lot. And so, if I were you, what I would be doing right now is I would be filling out my income documentation for the school so that way I could see if I could get a Common App waiver because fee waivers, look, it even says right here, learn about some fee waivers. Yes, learn about some fee waivers. Learn about how to apply to college for free. I would be applying to colleges like all over the place. If I had a fee waiver, I would just, everything. I'll apply for all of them. There are 903 colleges, and I don't have to pay for any of them. I'll apply for all 903. Let's see how many accept. I will get accepted to 600 schools. That's fine. Now I can choose which place will be the freest and which place will look the best. Um, if you are in the position where you can do that, I don't know why in the world you wouldn't do that. Some of you will not get waivers, and then you will have to pay whatever the application fee is, and it's different for each school. Some schools, like Trevecca and Lipscomb, don't charge an application fee, but they charge what they call a reserve fee, which means that they'll take your application for free and they will accept you, but then you have to put down a deposit on your spot for like a couple $100 in order for them to save your spot in the class for you. If not, they can't guarantee that there will be a spot for you in the freshman class just because you were accepted. All right. And that's a model that a lot of schools are going for because kids are doing what I suggested, which is applying to 600 schools and getting accepted to all of them, right? Colleges also need to know how many kids they've accepted and how many of them actually plan on coming to their school. Once you make a decision, it is a nice thing to let the colleges that you're not going to know so that way they can give the spot that they were potentially holding for you to somebody else. All right. Moving on. It's also important to note everything in college is first come first serve basis. That's dorm rooms, that's scholarships, that's class registrations. My kids, my students are always like, "Price, I'm not sweating it. MTSU has got guaranteed acceptance. You get it above a 24, they're guaranteed to accept you into MTSU." You're absolutely right. They will guarantee that you are allowed to go to Middle Tennessee State University. They do not guarantee that you will have a spot in any of the classes that you need to take your freshman year. Those classes fill up early. And the way that freshman registration works is it is based on acceptance into the class. So whenever you applied and got accepted into the university is your registration. They register them in blocks. So whenever you apply and get in early, then you get to register early, and then you can guarantee that you actually have classes to attend. Is where if you wait, you may not, and that's the thing that happens to a lot of people. And being accepted to a university doesn't do you any good if you don't have anything to do. So right now, I would be applying to schools, and then B, I would be going to go visit schools. I would be using Corona time to go visit campuses, even if you don't do an official college visit with a tour because maybe the colleges are not open, and that's a very real thing right now. Go drive around. Go just park on a campus someplace and get out and just walk around a little bit. There are a ton of colleges in town. You can go visit Vandy. You can go visit Lipscomb. You can go visit Aquinas. You can go visit Trevecca. You can go visit uh, Tennessee State. You could drive an hour and go visit Austin P. You could drive an hour and go visit Ten Tech. You could drive half an hour from you guys and go visit MTSU. Motlow is also relatively close. Like I would go and if if I were you right now, I would be organizing a road trip with some of my other IB friends, which some of the students from last year's IBC senior class did, and they loved it. But I would be organizing a road trip. I would be driving south. The University of the South, Swanee University, on top of Mount Eagle, is only about an hour and 15 minutes away. I'd be taking a road trip down there with some of my IB friends, making a college tour. I would be heading out to Knoxville and going to go see the University of Tennessee, but also Maryville College. Maryville College is one of my favorite colleges in the state. It's a beautiful school. It's actually one of the first schools in America to like integrate. It's got a wonderful civil rights Um, history. It's a beautiful campus. Um, like I would like it is. So what I love about it is they've got something like 36 buildings or something like that, but the student population size for undergraduates is smaller than Antioch High School. So all those resources for like 1,700 kids. It's just, I mean, it's just a wealth of awesome at Maryville. Like, go visit, go out and see Rhodes in Memphis, go out and see Christian Brothers University in Memphis. Like, drive up and go see. Uh, oh my gosh, why can't I think of the University of Kentucky that's in Bowling Green? Anyways, there's a big University of Kentucky school that's in Bowling Green that I can't think of right now. But go out and visit schools. College trips are something that well-to-do families start doing in like middle school. And it's something that if you have not gone to many, you need to go because every college feels different. And you can tell a lot about a college and how well you will fit in there just by walking around it. That's why people do college trips. Um, and then even if you can't go to every school that you would like to apply to, you're going to figure out things like, do I like big schools or do I like small schools? Do I like urban schools or do I like schools that are kind of more isolated? You're going to get a feel for those kind of things, which are going to help you make your decisions in the future. Um, I'm a firm believer that most of you guys probably need to go to smaller schools because you will do better whenever you are able to have relationships with your professors. Because, hold on real quick, check out this. Um, because whenever you go to a really big school, like, look at this lecture at Harvard here. You don't have to listen to it, but just hold on. Let me see if I can get a shot of the crowd here, so that way you can see what this is all looking like here. So this is him. He's up here on this stage. You'll notice he teaches on a stage. So this is what a lecture for freshmen. This is a philosophy 101 class. It's a freshman level philosophy lecture, and they've got this whole balcony up here. They've got all of this. They've got this down here. Seating is going to be first come first serve. He has TAs with microphones that go around whenever people have a question. It's the most detached thing ever. This guy will never actually know any of these kids. He's never going to actually care about them. He is, as you can see, detached. He's up on a stage. It's all about him. It's not about them. They are a number, um, and that's fine. That's the way that schools like that work. Hold on. I mean, these are what college lecture halls look like. This is what a college lecture hall looks like. Um, this is what a college lecture hall looks like. This is what a college lecture hall looks like. This is what a college lecture hall looks like. And whenever you're in big lecture hall classes like this, I just don't think that typically that is a good fit for our Antioch students. Um, typically, our students really struggle in environments like that. You guys do better whenever you have smaller class sizes and you're able to build relationships with your peers and your instructors. Sometimes you guys are just kind of missing some of the requisite skills necessary to be successful in an environment like this, like really good note taking skills, it's the self discipline that it takes to take notes in a class with the computer in front of you for an hour and a half and somebody that you don't know just kind of talking to you. Um, I can't even get you guys to finish watching like a video, but like these are what college lecture halls look like. So and I will say colleges are kind of moving away from them a little bit because they're realizing they're not so effective, but definitely want to consider that and what kind of a school you want to go to. Um, and on that, really quick, whenever talking about which school you should go to, I gave you guys a bunch of links to some college rating places, right? The one that everyone cites is U.S. News, and I gave you links directly to the Tennessee pages of them. U.S. News is the one that everyone uses. I'm going to tell you right now, don't pay a lot of attention to the actual ranking number, right? Like, oh, number one, number three, whatever. It's every site that you go to is going to be different. For instance, this one is Vandy, UT, Belmont, right? But then if you go over here to this other one, which I gave you a niche, right? Niche is going to have what do they got? Vandy, Rhodes, Swanee. right? So like you can see, right? Like the I mean Union, and then you get UTK. They don't have Belmont till you get all the way down here, right? U.S. News has got Belmont third, right? And so I wouldn't worry so much about the number. Here's what you want to look at, right? So like if we click on Lipscomb, one, it'll give you some nice pictures of the campus, and that's always a nice thing. Wait, what just happened there? All right, so where'd it go? Let's go. So it'll give you some nice pictures of the campus. That's a nice thing. It'll even give you a little video sometimes. Maybe I don't know what's going on there. Um, It'll tell you a bit about the school. It'll also tell you how much it costs to go to school there. It'll tell you what their acceptance rate is. Anything 60% is about average, right? This is about average for schools. If you look at UTK, for instance, hold on here, where are we at? So UTK, they've got an acceptance rate of should be right around 60% as well. Let's scroll down here and look. 78%. Wow, it's actually much higher. So 78%. So they're actually even more selective than what UTK is. So you look at like acceptance rate, but then it'll tell you what their class size looks like, right? So only 5% of their classes are those big lecture hall classes. Most of their classes are fewer than 20 students, and then they've got a bunch of classes in this 29 to 50 range. So if you click through here, it'll tell you about the gender of the students, what their financial aid was like. You can click on campus safety. You can learn. Anyways, there's a lot that you can deep dive into this, and if you're willing to pay for it, it'll actually tell you like the percentage of people, like what they end up making per like major out of the university. They'll tell you how many students from each thing. They'll tell you what the median ACT score is. One of the nice things to look at if you're trying to figure out what kind of school to go to is the average ACT score of the school. So I look at like so, for instance, if I want to know what the average ACT score is for MTSU, I can click here. It'll say that the average ACT score for students going into Middle Tennessee is a 23. All right, that's actually come down a little bit. Average GPA is at 3.5, and they've got a huge admissions rate, right? Like they accept 94%. Like MTSU is the Antioch of colleges, right? But then if I want to do so let's do Lipscomb. Their average ACT score is a 25, right? And then oh man, Vandy talks so much about their ACT scores. It's not even the first thing anymore. Gracious. Here we go. Vanderbilt. Average ACT score of Vanderbilt is a 34, which is 2 points off of perfect. So, looking at the ACT scores and then your own ACT scores is important because hold on really quick. What am I? University of Tennessee. So University of Tennessee's got an ACT score average of 27. All right. That's the average ACT score. Now, why is this important? Well, we're a UTK promise school. All right, there's a good chance that many of you will apply to UTK and get in because we are a UTK promise school. Your question is do you want to go to UTK? Because if the average student is coming in with an ACT score of 27, the professors are going to teach to the average student who has an ACT score of 27. So if you've got a 16 in math, how far behind the average are you going to be, and how much will that disrupt your ability to do well in classes? And those are the kind of things that you need to start thinking about whenever considering what kind of schools to apply to. All right, answering the rest of the questions because this video is getting a little bit long here. I'm already at 30 minutes. Good gracious. All right. How do you write our resume and personality statements? Get on the Common App and just fill out the application there. Would be my recommendation, and just write the essays that they tell you to. If you have somebody proofread it, use Grammarly. If you there's only like 14 of you, so if you would like me to look it over, I will happily look it over and tell you what's wrong with it. The essays don't matter for a lot of schools unless you're trying to go to a relatively competitive school. Already done that. What should I do now? Transcripts, email guidance. That has nothing to do with me. Guidance is in charge of transcripts. If you still need credits to graduate, you need to talk to your guidance counselor and tell them. They might already know. All of you are enrolled in an independent study right now, I'm pretty sure. So use that independent study time, do some Edgenuity, do some content recovery, get through your courses. If you need to be loaded into a Edgenuity class, again, that's a guidance question. Um, what can we do to ensure we get a good score on the ACT, SAT? You can't do anything to ensure that you will get a good score. What you can do is work on improving the score that you have now. Um, Good is a relative term. Good compared to what? Um, take it more. Take it more. You need to take the ACT more. The number of you that have been asking me college questions and emails, but you don't have an ACT score to give me, I can't start talking to you about colleges and where you're going to be a good fit and the kind of schools to look at and stuff if I don't even know where we're at ACT wise. I could recommend a school, but if you've got 18, it doesn't matter. Um, you need to be. So the way that I have always told students is a 22 is guaranteeing that you're going to college, right? You get yourself a 22, you're guaranteeing that you're going to go to school someplace, right? That's a good enough score to get into MTSU. It's probably a good enough score for some of you to get into UTK with the rest of your applications and your extracurriculars and whatnot. But you need to know what the ACT score is to know how to get better and improve. Then I'm a firm believer in taking it at least 4 times and each time studying for and focusing on doing better on one specific test. Studying in general, that's fine. But really, each time, like this time, I'm going to study for the reading section and get better at the reading section. And that's what I'm going to focus on. I've got a whole thing on the ACT reading section that I don't think that I got to do with you guys last year because Corona happened. That I will happily go over with you guys if you want about how to potentially do better on the reading section of the ACT. But really, the ACT and the SAT are skills based tests. They are not content knowledge based tests. So it's not like you can cram for it. The only way, it's like a sport, right? There's no amount of studying that I can do to make myself great at basketball in a weekend, right? That just doesn't happen, right? I can't subvert 10 years of practice and hard work and suddenly go out and just be great at something because I really wanted to and it was important to me and so I worked really hard on it for like 2 days. That's not how it works. The ACT and the SAT are skills-based tests the way that sports are skills-based competition. If you don't have the skills, then you have to start trying to build the skills, which involves consistent, steady, focused practice the same way that you would for playing an instrument or playing a sport or like anything else. You have to go and really buckle down and be intentional and focus. All right. And like get better, right? So like if you suck at math, you need to go get an ACT math study guide, figure out what parts of math you suck at, hop on Khan Academy, hop on some YouTube videos, and spend some time practicing and developing the skill. That's the only way to get better at it. Sadly, a lot of our students at Antioch High School do not realize this truth about the ACT until it's too late. And they spent 10 years of their education not trying very hard and taking the easy way out and never actually working on bettering themselves, just doing whatever it took to get a grade because they thought that getting an A was the same thing as learning and developing. And then they get to the ACT, and the ACT is their great equalizer. Just because you had straight A's, the ACT doesn't care. ACT doesn't care about your grades, doesn't care about how likable you are. And it's not fair. I get it. I've had some kids that don't really study very much and don't work very hard that are naturally gifted at academic endeavors and they do really well without having to try. And then I have some kids that bust their butts to get a 23. Um, just like there are some people in life who are really good at sports and who are just naturally athletic, and then there are some people like me who never will be. Um, it's just kind of the way that it is. What tools can we use to help us prepare? ACT study books are good. There's an unbelievable amount of resources online. Um, I'm a firm believer in making yourself take the ACT also wall to wall and as a practice test at home timed. Before you ever go take it in person, uh, set yourself a timer. Give yourself the exact number of times. Try and run it as close to the way as it will be administered during the actual ACT test, and then score it and see how you do. Because there's a bit difference between practicing a little bit here, practicing a little bit there, and being asked to read 4 passages in 35 minutes. Um, yeah, so there's that. I don't know what workload means. I don't know what that means. I don't know if you're talking about how to balance one, how to. I don't know. I don't know what that means. Are you talking about college workload? The IB's hopefully doing a good job of helping you balance that. Beyond that, you need to work on some time management skills. Um, you need to learn what you're good at that you can procrastinate on, and then what you suck at that you cannot procrastinate on. Because like I could always procrastinate on writing papers because I can bang out a paper really really quickly. I could not procrastinate on things like science labs or math assignments because they took me a long time. So figure out what you're good at, figure out what you're not. Understand that you're going to get smacked in the face, and be willing to admit that you need to do better, and then do better. Um, there are tons of kids that go to college every year unprepared, right? That's fine. And half of them will stop, reflect on themselves and what they're doing, and fix it. And the other half will just keep on doing the same thing, thinking that it will get better, and they will fail out of school. MTSU has a 48% graduation rate. Um, Something like, I think it's 70% of students in the state of Tennessee that start college don't finish. Something like that. It's really high. Um, don't do that. You've got to check yourself. Admit that you're not doing good. Admit that it's hard. Uh, and realize that school is your number one priority. It's not friends. It's not hair. It's not parties. It's not socialization. It's not protesting. It's not like if you're in college, right? And you're there to get your degree, your first priority has to be getting the degree because you're spending thousands of dollars to do it. And then everything else comes after that. So go do all those things. That's fine. But do your other stuff first. Um, Feels like we're giving a lot of work at the same time. I don't know what this means. For what? You mean like for college? Or you mean for like IB? If you mean for IB, yes, that's what the IB is. And if you think this is a lot of work, you're really in trouble come college. Get over it. You're growing up. You're becoming more responsible. You're not a child anymore, and you have to manage your own stuff. If you have a lot of work, I have 5 classes that I have to prepare for, plus a first grader at home that can't read, that I have to do her online learning time with. Um, that is the nature of life. One time in college, I had 35 pages worth of papers due on the same day because college professors don't care how they schedule things. If it just kind of is what it is. Part of why it feels like this right now is because you guys got a free fourth 9 weeks last year where we couldn't ask you guys to do anything or grade anything, and I don't think honestly I don't think that you guys did anything. Based on the fact that my extended essay supervisees have not sent me anything or reached out to me or talked to me about anything, I don't think that the EEs got worked on. I don't think that CAS got worked on. I don't think that you guys did anything, and so now you've got to make up for that. You had basically 3.5 months off, 3.5 4 months off. Um, and that's a large chunk of time to have off that now we've got to make up for because the requirements for the courses didn't change, just the amount of time that you got to do it in changed. Um, doesn't feel like learning, just feels like work. Honestly, most of the time, things that are good for you don't feel good. When you go to the gym, it doesn't feel like getting swole, it just feels like work, but it's what makes you swole. Um, if you want me to be honest, I don't know what you want me to tell you. Like, IB matters because it's challenging. If it wasn't challenging, nobody would care about it. The reason why I can get kids full ride scholarships, the reason why I get kids accepted to colleges that normally don't even blink at Antioch High School, is because the IB is a challenging program. Um, because it is rigorous and because it has universal expectations that are across the board, and that just is what it is. And there's no way to change that because we don't set the requirements. I don't set the IB's curriculum. I don't set the IB's assessments. I don't set the IB's timelines. Um, they are what they are. And so this is what it is. And we have to do what we have to do to meet the course requirements. I would be deeply concerned if you feel like this is too much or is too arduous with you, for you right now. Um, I would take I would take a good look internally and think about how seriously I was taking my academic achievement and how seriously I'm taking my dreams for myself. And and what those dreams are because hear me out. If those dreams are not academic, then do you boo, right? Like that's fine. Like if you want to go be a cosmetologist or a tattoo artist or a mechanic or whatever, cool. But the amount of you that are like, I want to be a doctor and are complaining about an IB workload is laughable because medical like people that are in medical school in a residency program will go to class 30 hours a week and work another 50 a week. Those people literally are like they had to make special laws just for medical students because of how much work they were doing. Well, I was working on my doctorate. There were dudes working on their PA program that were pacing around the campus till 3 in the morning memorizing terminology from giant lists because they had to do so much memorization of body parts and body functions. Like at some point you have to decide, am I worth and is my vision of myself worth investing in? Because if it is, then like stop complaining about stuff and buckle down and realize that this is about you and making yourself better. And if it's not, cool, then do what it takes to graduate high school and then go do that other thing that you're passionate about, right? But like I don't know what you want me to do whenever you guys tell me things like I want to be a doctor, I want to be or I want to be a nurse, or I'm trying to go and be a CEO or whatever else, and then like you guys complain about high school work. Um, yeah, I don't know. In fact, hold on real quick. Hold on. Chotomate. Let me pause this. Okay, I'm back. So real quick, just to set and establish expectations for you really quick, because I sometimes I think that you guys think that I'm just being mean or complaining or whatever, but I just want to show you. So this book right here, the Norton Anthology of World Masterpieces, is for a sophomore level undergraduate general education course, meaning a course that every major at the university had to take. All right, that's it. This is the textbook. I'd say that we read 80% of it in a semester, and a semester typically runs September to the second week of December. So, you know, do the math. That's about 3.5 months because you got fall break in there. And we covered all of this. And this was one of the 4 classes that I took that semester. All right, and this was a gen ed course. This was not one of my English major specific courses. This was a gen ed course, and I didn't go to a big school like Vanderbilt, or someplace like that. I just went to little old Trevecca, right? So it's not like I went to some Ivy where the expectations are crazy high or whatever else. No, I just this is what the workload of one class looks like over 3.5 months, and that isn't including the papers that came along with it or anything else. I'm not trying to belittle any of you or talk down to any of you. I'm just trying to help you adjust your own expectations for yourselves and also what the next step looks like. Um, you you've just got to be okay like investing in yourself and realizing that not everything is supposed to be fun or not everything is supposed to be like, oh, I love doing this. Like that's not it's not what it is. Sometimes you have to do things that you don't want to do because they're worth doing, or the outcomes are worth working for. Um, so yeah, and then also I would encourage you to think about like what are you doing, like what are you doing to invest in yourself on the outside as well? How are you spending your time that isn't schoolwork? Are like, you guys asked about ACT score. Um, how do I do better on the ACT, so on and so forth. So, for instance, the ACT is about 80% reading. Even the math test has got a bunch of like reading questions in there, and because it's timed, being a quick and effective reader is one of the best things that you can do to increase your ACT score. So, like what have you read recently? What have you been reading? In the last month, I've read this 3 books each. I read these in the last month. It's about 4,000 pages or so. Um, Now, granted, that was before school started. I got finished with the last one right before all this mess became. But like, what are you doing to invest in yourself and your own success? Because you got to put the time in. It's just like playing a sport or working out or playing an instrument or painting or like anything else. If you don't put in time, you're not going to get better outcomes. Your brain needs worked out just like a muscle, so you got to put some time into it. A lot of you have had specific questions about colleges and things. I will be happy to answer any of those more specific questions. I'll be honest, it's hard whenever I don't have an ACT score to go with because I use that as a judging factor for like what kind of institutions we should be looking at. A student with a 26 is looking at very different institutions than a student with a 1920, right? Like that's just we're just looking at different places for a good fit there. So if you don't have an ACT score, I would say that that's probably where you need to be starting first the most. Um, I guess that's the end of your list of demands. And yeah, I gotta be honest. I don't. It didn't feel good how this list went from please help us with things that we need to we would just like to complain about things now. I don't know what that's about. It kind of really soured my mood. I was excited to go over this stuff with you. I hadn't even read the whole list yet. I was just putting together resources for like you guys, and then we got down here, and I don't know what you want. Um, all right, well, that's that. Here's your video. Oh, your assignment this week. Your assignment this week for TOK is going to be really, 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 really simple. I want you to make a Common App account. I want you to start filling out at least your basic information and the beginning parts of your college application. Start working on your college essay on it. Screenshot your just like your account page that just shows that you've made it and have started filling stuff out. Screenshot that. You're going to post it in one of the discussion posts. I'll put up an assignment for it this week. And then in your discussion, what are you most concerned about regarding college? Post this here. I'll answer whatever I can. As always, I'm here to help you guys. I want the best for you. I want you to want the best for yourselves. And I'm going to bed because it's late. So have a good one.